Are you considering a move to the Dallas area, but you're still not really sure if you want to live in Dallas, you don't know if you want to live in a suburb, or which suburb, because there's so many? Well, we're going to talk about the top 10 most highly rated suburbs by niche.com today in this video. So be sure to watch until the end because I have my own ideas about each one of those suburbs. So I'm going to rate them on the Terara scale as well because I live here and I see them every day. So let's get started on that right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you're excited to learn everything there is to know about the Dallas-Fort Worth area, be sure to subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you're always up to date on the latest market insights. My name's Tara McGraw. I'm a realtor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I help people like you every single day. So whether you're looking to make a move in a week or a year, across country, or all the way across the globe, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. My team and I would love to help you make a smooth transition to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, niche.com gives each suburb an overall rating, and I'm gonna tell you what that is, but they have a whole list of things that they take into account, including outdoor activities, job opportunities, health and safety, all sorts of different things. So if you want to see each one of those, then you need to run over to niche.com. But I'm just going to give you the overview because I don't think anybody wants to watch an hour-long video on these suburbs. So I'm just going to hit the high points. We'll go over the big ones. And then if you want a little more detail, you can watch some of my other videos or check out the website for yourself. So let's get started with number 10 on the list. Now, niche.com gave the number 10 spot to Sunnyvale, and I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say no on that. Now, they can give it a 10 all they want, but I'm telling you, it's not a top 10 suburb. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a top 10 suburb. Richardson, on the other hand, they gave that the 12th spot, and I disagree. I'm sorry. We're bumping Richardson up to that top 10 spot, and we're bumping Sunnyvale down to 12. That's just my own opinion. But I live around here. I know Richardson very well. I have shopped in Sunnyvale. I've seen it all. And I'm just gonna tell you that Richardson's better. Okay, the location is better. It's just, overall, it's better. I like the houses better. Sunnyvale's just a no, okay? That's all we need to say about that. Sunnyvale is a no. Now, Richardson gets an A+ rating by niche.com. So overall, they're still giving it an A+, even though they thought it should be in 12th place. Whatever. Anyway, they get an A rating for their public schools. So good schools up there. They are known for that. They get a B- for crime and safety. Now that's mostly going to be like property crimes and things like that, people stealing your Amazon packages, and it's not really a big deal. Now, it seems like you would want an A-rated place, which, yes, you can find A ratings, but that's going to be way out in the sticks. You're not going to be in the city to get an A-rated crime and safety. You're just not. Dallas gets like an F, okay? So that B- is looking pretty good when you're comparing it to living in actual Dallas. So B- for that. They get an A- for commute, which is pretty good. And the reason is because Richardson is very conveniently located in very close proximity to Dallas. It's right on the edge of Dallas. You don't have to go through several suburbs to get to it. So you don't have a very long commute if you're gonna work in Dallas. Now, they did get a B+ for jobs because they have their own little area there where they have a lot of jobs. So you don't necessarily have to drive to Dallas if you don't want to. You could work right in Richardson. So they got a B+ for that, and it got an A+ for families. And I would agree with all of those things. I think that is 100% accurate. It's a great place for families. They have lots of activities that the city puts on for people, festivals, things to do. So I would definitely say Richardson gets to be in the top 10 as number 10. Number 9 on our list is Trophy Club. Now, Trophy Club, in my mind, is more of a Fort Worth suburb, but it actually, when you look at the map, it is right in between Dallas and Fort Worth. So it could be a suburb for either city, whether you're working downtown Fort Worth or you're working in Dallas, you could drive in very easily. So It did get a B- for commute because it is kind of out there in the middle. But here's what I'll say about Trophy Club. It is very nice out there. The homes are nice. There are usually bigger lots and a little bit more square footage with those homes, so you can get a lot of house out there. Now, here's the thing. They are a little bit expensive because it is so nice. They have A+ rated schools. It gets an A+ for families, for, you know, just being family friendly. And it gets an A+ for jobs. So you can work there, you can drive into either city. It's a really nice suburb. It is. It gets a B+ for crime and safety. And as I said before, a B- is not that bad, so B+, even better. So if you travel for work and you need to be close to the airport, you are not going to have a tough commute. So they gave it a B- for commute because if you have to drive into the city, it's a little bit tough, but you are close to the airport if you need to travel for work. So if that's your situation, then Trophy Club could be your spot. Number 8 on our list is Allen, Texas. Now, Allen is to the north of Dallas. You go up 75 from Dallas to get there, and they gave that an overall rating of A+. And I have to agree, I think Allen is a pretty nice place. It's a little bit of a drive. They gave it a B for commute. So I agree with that. I think that it's a tough commute if you are working in Dallas, but if you don't mind 75, then maybe you won't feel the same way, but I really can't stand driving on 75 at any time of the day. So it's really tough to go downtown from there, but maybe you work from home, or maybe you want to work over in Frisco or in Plano, and then it wouldn't be so bad because you wouldn't have to take 75 all the way down. So they do get an A+ for their public schools. It's got an A+ for being good for families, A for jobs, B- for cost of living because it is a little bit expensive over there. They do have some really nice houses, and I'm sorry, you get what you pay for. They've got a B for crime and safety, which is interesting to me because I would have thought that it would have been higher than Richardson, to be honest with you, just because it's further out there, but I don't know. They got a B. They got a B- for nightlife too. That's something we really haven't been talking a lot about, but most of these are gonna kind of get, you know, more of your B- for nightlife because it's Suburbs. What do you expect? Number 7 on our list is Southlake. Now this is another one that I would kind of consider more of a Fort Worth suburb because it's over to the west a little bit, but I have known people who drive into Dallas from Southlake, so it can totally be done, but it does get a B- for commute because of that. So A+ rated overall, and I was a little bit surprised. I have to say, number 7, really? Southlake is so nice. It is so nice. I think that it should have been a little bit higher up on the list or have had a lower number because I would think that would be more like top 5, but okay. We can agree to disagree, niche.com, it's okay. But Southlake's really nice. They've got an A+ rating on their schools, and that's definitely a big draw to that area. Not only is it just really pretty over there and really well taken care of, everything's very manicured and nice, but the schools are really good, and people are specifically looking to get into those schools so their kids can go to public schools. So Southlake schools are some of the best schools in the whole Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So, okay, number 7, I was surprised by that. Cost of living is a B because it is pretty spendy out there. Now you can get into some smaller homes. They do have some neighborhoods that you can get into something for, you know, 700,000, 800,000, but most of the homes are going to be, you know, around $1 million or much higher than that. So just keep that in mind if you're shopping in that area, but it is really nice. B for crime and safety. So that's pretty similar to Trophy Club. So they're kind of close to each other. B+ for nightlife, which, I mean, I think it has pretty good nightlife in my opinion. I mean, it depends on what you call nightlife. Are you trying to go to a club or something? Well, you probably don't want to live in the suburbs if you're trying to go to nightclubs anyway. So I think they have some pretty good nightlife. They've got a lot of restaurants, a lot of dining. They've got little bars around. It's not like, you know, going to be open until 2 a.m. probably, but you could be entertained until midnight. I think it's pretty good. A+ for families and an A+ for jobs. So another one that's close to the airport and another one that you could commute into either city. So number 7, Southlake. Number 6 on the list is Plano, Texas. Now, I'm really surprised that this is getting a better ranking than Southlake, but I'm gonna say it's probably because of the close proximity to Dallas, because far north Dallas comes up right underneath Plano, so I could see that. But as far as overall niceness, I think Southlake is really gonna be better than that. But Plano's really nice. I definitely would rank it in the top 5 because they've got some really nice houses in Plano. Niche gave it an A+ overall rating. But the houses are nice. They're starting to get a little bit older because they were built in mostly the 90s. So a lot of 90s, 2000s houses that are needing to be remodeled, but people are coming through and remodeling these. And when they do, they are really nice. And you've got some areas of Plano that have some really fabulous houses, and they've got great lot sizes. And they really do have something for everybody in Plano. You can get homes starting around, I mean, if you get something that's really small and that's not updated, you could probably get something for about $350, but then the houses are gonna go on up in different areas, and you can find multi-million-dollar houses in Plano. So there is something for everybody. It's a family-friendly place, so it got an A+ for that. The schools are very good, A+ rated. It gets a B- for crime and safety, and I would agree with that. I would agree with all those things. I think all of these burbs are pretty safe. I would walk around any of them and not be fearful. They get an A+ rating for jobs because Plano actually has a lot of corporations that are here, and they're very close to Frisco, so you could drive up to Frisco or you could zip on down to Dallas. So a lot of job opportunities in that area too. They do get a B- for cost of living because it is a little bit more expensive in Plano. It's not more expensive than Southlake, but like I said, they do have multi-million-dollar houses there, but they've got some houses for regular folks too. We do have several toll roads up that way, so that could contribute a little bit to that cost of living, getting dinged on the cost of living. But they get an A for nightlife. I wouldn't normally think of Plano as a very happening place when it comes to nightlife, but here's the thing. They have Legacy West, which is right on the edge of Plano and Frisco, and most people think that is actually Frisco. So I'm gonna say that's probably why they got that A for nightlife, because otherwise, not a whole lot going on after midnight, which, my mom always said that nothing good ever happens after midnight anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, top 5, we're in the top 5. Colleyville is number 5, and I have to say, I'm not surprised by that at all. That's another one of those kind of over there by Southlake, and it's really nice. It is really nice. It's a little bit spendy, so the cost of living rating they got was a B+. They have an A+ rating for schools. Same thing with Southlake. The people are coming and they want to be in the Colleyville school district. So all of that over there, very good schools. It got a B+ for crime and safety, so pretty good. A B for nightlife, which I would say there's probably not a whole lot of nightlife going on over there in Colleyville. You kind of have to go to Southlake if you want to go to more of the restaurants and things like that. But I mean, they're like this, like it's Southlake, Colleyville. They're like right there. We consider them almost like the same thing. So, so I wouldn't worry about the nightlife. A- for jobs, probably because you're gonna have to commute in to Dallas or Fort Worth to work. But it's another one of those that's by the airport. They have an A+ rating for schools, and the cost of living is a B+. Because it's, like I said, it's a really nice area, and it's sort of similar to Southlake. Like Southlake's sort of a step up as far as, being a little more on the posh side, but Colleyville's still pretty stinking nice. So I don't really differentiate that much between the two, but if you have to say one is nicer than the other, then Southlake's gonna be, a little more high end. Flower Mound coming in at number 4. Now this one surprised me because it's funny, Flower Mound is not really one of those suburbs that I feel like people really mention a lot. That's probably why I'm surprised by it. I'm not surprised by it being ranked as a really nice place because it is really nice. I sold a house out that way and I thought it was really nice, and I got to really learn about that area, and that's sort of what put Flower Mound on the map for me, was when my listing was out there in a place called Double Oak close by. And what I learned about that area is that they have good schools, so they got an A+ rating for schools, and a lot of those homes are built on larger lots as well. So even the master plan communities that normally you would see having teeny little lots are going to be a little nicer sized lots. But they also have some homes on 1 acre lots and things like that you can find out in that area. Now, the cost of living did only come in at a B because it can be a little bit more expensive over there, but it's a really pretty area. Everything over in that area, Flower Mound and all of that, Double Oak, Copper Canyon, all that, they have a lot of beautiful trees, and it's a nice area to live in. So I could see that being very family friendly, and that's why they got an A+ rating for being good for families, A+ for jobs. It's a little closer to Dallas, and it's also pretty close to 35. It comes up to 35. That's a highway that we have here, and that can take you up to Denton if you want to work in Denton, and it can take you down to Dallas pretty easily. So B for cost of living, B for crime and safety, and a B+ for nightlife. I could see that as a B+. In fact, I probably would have rated it as a little lower in the nightlife category because, I mean, it's suburb. It's deep in the burbs. So not a lot going on there at night, but they still have a lot of little during the daytime stuff, little coffee shops and, you know, cute places to go. So maybe not so much for nighttime, but daytime is looking good. Coming in at number 3 on the list is Frisco, Texas. Now, I am not surprised by this at all. Frisco is one of the most popular suburbs. I'm actually pretty surprised it's not more like number 1, to be honest with you, because when people are moving here, a lot of times Frisco is what they're calling me about. Plano, Frisco, Richardson, that's the main 3. When you think of the suburbs, that's pretty much what we're thinking of are those 3 towns. But there are a lot more suburbs all around there, and they are ranking highly for all different reasons. But Frisco is definitely worthy of top 3. It is getting an A+ rating overall. They have an A+ rating for their schools, which I can totally see why, because they have what they call the opportunity model in their school system. Now, what this means is that there are a ton of schools, tons of elementary schools, more high schools than I've ever seen in any suburb. And the reason for this is because the more high schools that you have, the more opportunity that kids have to take on leadership roles in those schools, because you can only have 1 star quarterback at each high school. You can only have 1 lead in the school play and 1 head cheerleader. So they've decided that if they have more schools, they can have more of these roles, and that lets more kids put this on their college applications. So that's great. I think that's awesome that it's not limited to just a small group of kids. So Frisco and the opportunity model are definitely making their schools very successful and making them very popular for people who are moving to the area. They get an A+ for being good for families overall, which I would agree with that. Lots of family activities to do up there. There's even a Universal Studios coming to the Frisco area, and it's geared more towards the little kids because it's a more family-friendly area. They get a B for crime and safety and a B+ for nightlife, which was interesting because I would have thought they would have gotten more nightlife because they have more nightlife than Plano and the other suburbs, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know what they're considering nightlife up there. But they've got some cool little places, some speakeasies and lots of restaurants and dining and all sorts of things to do in Frisco. They get a A+ for jobs because Frisco has its own whole economic system up there. They've got tons of corporations that have moved to the Frisco area. You can also drive to Plano very easily to work, or I wouldn't say drive to Dallas because that's a pretty far drive from Frisco, but you really don't need to because there are so many jobs and companies that have moved to the Frisco area. Cost of living in Frisco is a B- because it is getting pretty spendy up there. I will say that yes, it is pretty expensive to live in Frisco, but the reason, there's a reason, it's because Frisco is sort of a newer city. So it started to get built up back in the 90s. There were places up there, but Frisco was considered to be way, way out there back in the 90s and even all the way up to the 2000s. It didn't start really building up until about the 2000s, 2010s. People started moving out there, you know, so it's only been the last 20, 25 years that it started getting built up. Well, that means that the homes are a little bit newer than the other suburbs south of it. And there's actually still a lot of new construction going on up in Frisco. You can get new construction over at the Fields, which is a huge development that's going in on the north side of Frisco. There are several areas that are under construction right now. So lots of new construction. So younger homes, and there are a lot of larger homes out there too, but generally younger homes than the other suburbs. So it makes sense that these would cost a little bit more. Number 2 on the list is University Park. Now, I would not normally consider this to be a suburb of Dallas because it's in Dallas. It's just everything annexed into Dallas. All the little suburbs that were down there back in the day, they annexed into Dallas. Well, Highland Park and University Park did not annex into it. So there's Dallas for miles on the outside of it. It's kind of in the middle of Dallas. So I don't normally think of this as a suburb because when I think of suburb, I think of outside of Dallas. But okay, niche.com is considering that a suburb of Dallas. So technically, I guess it is. Now they do have A+ rated schools because they have their own school system over there. They get a B+ for crime and safety, which I would say B+ is probably okay. I might downgrade it to a B actually because I've been hearing a lot of stories lately from the moms that live over there. They're having a little bit of trouble with some of the, some vagrants coming in, and it's a whole thing. So anyway, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? They get an A+ for nightlife, which I could see that just because you're so close to Dallas. I wouldn't say University Park itself has any nightlife, but if you just, go right outside of it, then you're gonna get some nightlife right there. So A+. A+ for families, good for families. And yeah, I'd say it's good for families, but I just have my own opinions about all of that. They get an A+ for public schools, but here's what I'm gonna say about University Park. Okay, I have a lot of friends that live there. It's a beautiful place. It's really beautiful. It's gonna get a B- for cost of living because it's very expensive to live there. I would have probably given it an F for cost of living because it's very, very expensive to live there. Now, if you can get into a townhome or something, you might be able to get something for $1 million or maybe a little less than $1 million if it's not updated, but you're looking at least about $1 million to get in there. So, you've got a lot of wealthy people living there, and I have nothing against wealthy people. I mean, hey, I wish I was a wealthy person. But here's the thing is that that's not always the best situation for your kids to grow up with all of that, okay? But that's up to you as a parent and what you want to do. But it's just a lot going on around everybody. There's a map that I saw that was called, what was it called? The Hood map or something like that. I don't know. It was really funny. You should check it out. And it labeled each little area of town, and University Park, it was funny labels, okay? And this was funny, but it's really not funny if you think about it, because the label that they gave this area of town was Xanax and Chardonnay. So, just think about what that's doing to the kids around and what that's like in the schools and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that everyone does that, and all the moms that I know down there are not like that, and they're great. And we go to Bible study together and all of that. So it's not that everyone's doing that, but you just have to think about that it may be a little more prevalent in an area of affluence like that. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's my own personal opinion. University Park is beautiful. It's a great place, but family friendly, I guess. Okay, are you ready? Number 1 on the list. Now, I'm really surprised by this. I wouldn't have said this was number 1, but niche.com feels that Coppell, Texas is number 1 for the best suburbs of the Dallas area. They gave it an A+ rating overall. It has an A+ rating for schools, which I've heard that they have good schools. I sold a house out there and they wanted to live there because the schools were good. It's got an A+ rating for being good for families, which I would agree with that. An A for jobs. You know, it's kind of in a good location, I would say, to where you could get to either city pretty easily. It gets an A- for nightlife, which I would have thought that it wouldn't have got that high, because I really am not really thinking of Coppell as like, hey, let's go out in Coppell. But crime and safety, they got a B, so that's pretty good. And it's a B- for cost of living, because it is a little bit pricey out there, but you can get a lot of house for that money. The house that I sold out there was a pretty nice one, but it would have been a lot more expensive in other areas, in my opinion. So I'm not saying it's like a super affordable place to live, but I think it's a reasonably priced area to live. So that's what they're saying number one is. And okay, I probably would have said Frisco or Plano as number one. Honestly, that would be my bet. But you know, they're thinking of different things. They're taking other things into account when they're coming up with their list, and that's their opinion. And I'm entitled to mine, and you are entitled to yours. So you need to come to the area and you need to take a little tour of all of these suburbs so you can decide for yourself, and maybe that will help you to decide whether or not one of these places is the right place for you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful and helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. If you'd like to book a strategy call because you're thinking about moving to the area, or you just have questions about the area, there's a link there that you can schedule with me. I'd love to talk with you one-on-one and help you make a smooth transition to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So until next time, I will see you in the next video.